on data science and smart cities. We want to thank Poland Embassy to their support in bringing this workshop to you. The United Nations believes that in 2050 there will be 9.6 billion people on the planet, and more than 66% of them will live in urban areas. That kind of population growth will put huge pressure on metropolitan areas to manage resources efficiently and supply their citizens with what they need to thrive and survive, which is why our cities must get smarter. One way cities can become smarter is by harnessing the mounting of digital data we generate 24 hours a day. Today, we'll try to share new ideas counting on citizens' engagement in relationship with data science for a successful implementation and development of smart city and technological infrastructure. Our 360-second meetup comes to you with smart ideas on growing our city using data scientist experts and AI technologies to ensure a good national and international implementation. Properly analyzed, all that information, usually referred to as big data, could improve everything from traffic flow and refuse collection to healthcare services because the resources would be directed to where they're most useful. Please let me introduce you our special guests. Bucharest Deputy Mayor, Stelian Bujuveanu, who will share some of his thoughts and the future plans for our capital. Next, we'll have Daniel Pintilie, who's a Romanian energy expert and the founder and CEO of Vatu Stations, one of the most ambitious startups in electromobility in the region, aiming to make long-distance driving possible for any electric vehicle, building a network of ultra-fast charging stations. We'll then dive in a more complex conversation on smart cities between Aneta Skubida, who is a Polish expert on urban innovation and City of Warsaw Councillor, and Anka Goron, a smart city expert responsible for large project implementation for local administration nationally and internationally, and the coordinator of the smart city platform City Parking EO. We'll then be joined by Diana Mardarovic, General Councillor of Bucharest City Hall. After, we will move to a Q&A session. You can post your question in our webinar chat. Some of the questions we will answer in today's meetup include what does it mean nowadays to live in a smart cities, what are the Polish and the European perspective when it comes to smart city, what kind of changes do cities need and why, what are the challenges for a smart city development and what it means for us. I'm going to give the floor for the Deputy Mayor, Mr. Stelian Bujuveanu. Please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this kind gesture and this invitation. I'm very pleased to be here and speak with you about our plans for this, the municipality for Bucharest regarding the smart city project that we have ongoing for this mandate. So I'll get right into the history of our city and a little bit of knowledge on administration, how the administration works here in Bucharest, because it's very important to know, because we are right now 7 cities in the same city. That may sound strange, but this is the fact in Bucharest, because we have 6 districts that have local elected mayors, local councils, and the big municipality town. The big municipality that is like an umbrella over the 6 districts, where we have a general mayor and a general council that's that has 55 general council in it. I'm a general council and deputy mayor as well. My colleague Diana Mardarovic is a general council. So right now it's very hard in Bucharest to have one strategy on infrastructure or on ITNC or smart city, because we have 7 elected officials with 7 that have different political views. You don't have the same political party that has the overall majority here in Bucharest at the 7 councils to implement the same strategy. So our work in the municipality, the big municipality, is to implement this strategy from the top to the lower levels and the district levels at the 6 districts. This is our role here. This is a short introduction to understand what we're facing here in Bucharest on the administrative level. We're working on a law to change the administrative form in Bucharest, but it will take, I think, 5 to 10 years. So this is what we have right now. We have a city that in the last 30 years underwent a lot of transformations, but not in smart city, not smart city transformations, only in public transportation and infrastructure, big infrastructure projects, but not in smart cities. So this is our mandate right now, to start making the strategy for Bucharest 2050. We don't have that strategy right now. So this is a big fault for the old administrations. And the strategy is well linked to the urbanistic plan, the general urbanistic plan. The biggest problem in Romania and in Eastern European countries and in capitals is that when we had the communist period, our properties have been nationalized. So the state owned everything. After the revolution here in Romania, when the people started getting their properties back, the laws came one by one, but didn't do very well, neither for the people that lost their lands, neither for the state. So you have a lot of plots of land that are right now unusable because they are working. The people are in courts trying to get them back, and me as a liberal, I want them to get the private property. For us, it's very important. So you cannot have a smart city or a strategy for 2015 without having a general urbanistic plan. So the planning is key to the property here in Bucharest and the developing the smart city and the big infrastructure project. So in these 4 years, the next general urbanistic plan will be finished, and it will have attached to it the strategy for Bucharest 2050, because the old plan that we're using right now and the strategy is was adopted in 2000. So we have like 20 years lacking of strategic planning for the next generation here in Bucharest. This is our big concern for how the city is developing. And because if you don't have this urbanistic plan, this strategy, you cannot undergo big transformations, because you don't have the local laws that can help you implement these strategies. But we're working on a lot of plans in different sectors, and I'm going to go through them as short as I can to tell you how we're going to implement this plan in the big strategy. So right now in Bucharest, in the town hall, we don't have a system that manages all the files, all the paperwork here in the municipality. We're very old school, and this is a big downside for the municipality, because overall we made a calculation. We use 4.8 million sheets of paper every year, only here in the municipality and at the district levels as well. So we're looking at approximately 100 tons of paper per year at the whole municipality region of Bucharest. This is not a smart city. This is we're Stone Age right now. And this year we've implemented the software. So we're tracking every paper that comes, every petition, everything that's inside, that comes inside the municipality is scanned, and we want to, by the end of 2021, we want to get rid of all the paperwork here in Bucharest. At the municipality level, the districts are implementing, but we don't have we cannot enforce this project onto them. So first we'll do it on the municipality level, and then we help them implement on the lower levels. Regarding the smart city, there are two big issues here in Bucharest. The first one is that we don't have enough money to support our infrastructure, critical infrastructure for heating, because we have a central heating system that's the second biggest central heating system after Moscow. And that heating system wasn't rehabilitated since 40 years ago. So this is a big problem for us, because the money that we pump into the system right now, because it's an old system, it's approximately 200 million euros per year to shorten the losses. And the other big issue, the other big problem for the municipality is the transportation system, because exactly how the central heating system takes 250 million euros per year, the same we have with the transportation system here in Bucharest, the same amount of money. So we have approximately €500 million every year that are drained down the pipes into the ground, or on old buses that go around the city and don't have, I'm afraid to say, we're not profitable, we're not even sustainable in the transportation system. So these sectors are undergoing a great digitalization to lower the costs for the municipality. Regarding the heating of the central heating system, we're changing the pipes and coming with new modern system with sensors and everything, so we can reduce the flow of central heating system and rescale it, because the old system, it has right now 3,000 kilometers of pipes. That's a lot of pipe works for a municipality, but it was this big because we had a large infrastructure, large plants, working plants outside of Bucharest that are no longer functional right now. So we have to scale it down. We're using European funds to do that. And I think in 10 years, maybe, we'll have a sustainable central heating system for Bucharest. Regarding the transportation system, we're trying to lose everything that's, I mean, we don't want to have the contact between the people of Bucharest and the workers that work in the transportation system. Right now, we have to buy a ticket. We can buy it on phone, we can buy it by card, but it's very hard. It's not intuitive, it's not simple like in other European cities. So right now, we're implementing a software that you can buy a ticket from everywhere, by phone, by card. If the biggest problem in Bucharest is that only the municipality has 30,000 people employed here in Bucharest, without the sectors, without the districts. So if you want something to compare with, the whole European Union, the whole Parliament and Commission and everything, every institution that is keeping the European Union together has approximately 30,000 people employed. So we're trying to scale down the employing the people in Bucharest, because if you want a smart city, the technology does everything for you. So these are big plans to modernize and to reduce the cost for the municipality. And then if we have the money, if we from 500 million euros to 200 million euros in a few years, then the surplus of the money, we can use them in rehabilitating the infrastructure, changing every light bulb, to using smart technology here in Bucharest, because in this, how the city worked right now in the last years is unsustainable for everybody. So we're trying to rechange the vision of Bucharest, and in 2 years, the strategy for Bucharest 2050 will be ready, and it will include even the mobility plan that was already adopted here in Bucharest 4 years ago, the PMUD as we call it, and it has a lot of beautiful projects for Bucharest. And I think in this term, you will see the changes starting, and in the next term, the next 4 years, they will be implemented, because we have a lot of funds here. The resilience plan has a lot of funds that you can use in this 6 years to implement in smart technology, green technology. So this is our goal. We want small project to include them in a big project that will change the face of Bucharest, and reducing our costs to have a surplus of money to invest in infrastructure projects that are very needed here in Bucharest. Thank you, and I'm sorry for this long, I think it's a long speech for introduction, and I'm hoping to speak with you or have a conversation in these next hours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such an important presentation and service design. Mr. Daniel Pintilie, please tell us a little bit more about your background and how AutoStation can make our cities smarter.
Yes, thank you for the introduction and for the invitation. I'm happy to have here as well the local administration and local experts. If I would like to share some presentation for you because it's easier for me. A second. So I will speak today wearing three hats: the energy expert position, the investor position in electromobility, and I will try to link this very interesting topic, which is electromobility, to the smart city topic, which we'll speak today. As you remember, in 2010, the Romanian landscape was looking very interesting for the investor. Everyone was trying to invest here. We had some renewable project ongoing, and the entire landscape looked very interesting. But on the opposite side, Romania was not ready for this topic, was not ready to attract all this investment, did not have any short-term vision, and that leads to a lot of unpredictability. And of course, that brought already some grid congestion and some high cost for balancing. I'm putting all this in mirror because I think at this moment, Romania is facing almost the same problem. When we talk about electromobility, 10 years later, we see in Europe, which is committed to carbon neutrality. And that comes with a lot of commitment from all the other countries. Smart grid and smart technology becomes the only way and the only solution to a sustainable landscape. And in this context, electromobility becomes a big part of the solution. It's depending on us how we manage to put it in context and make it really work. And if we look at the overall picture, the landscape of electromobility, especially in Romania, we see that the trend is increasing. A lot of electric cars on the market, but still not enough charging infrastructure, especially not enough ultra-fast charging able to deliver the promise to charge a car in short time. I'm also wondering myself, and this is more like a rhetorical question, what will happen when the market will grow, which from my opinion is not that far as you might expect. What will happen when people will charge their cars at home? People will charge the car ultra fast in the cities. The trucks will be charged in the cities or the buses. Imagine a lot of congestion on the grid. Imagine a lot of pressure on the system. And again, I am firmly convinced that Romania is not ready for this, and is not ready because Romania believes this time is really far away. The risk we face, of course, is at least a blackout. There is a simple solution, and is very much linked to the topic on today's conference. Smart solutions and smart technology are the only solution we should focus on. It's hydrogen, is storage, is renewable, is digitalization, and of course, electromobility. All working together as a smart ecosystem. And that brings us to Vato, the startup I have started 2 years ago. I will try to put some context and give you more details about this project. As I was saying at the beginning, Vato is a startup built in 2019. I'm the founder and the CEO. We raised the financing from a venture capital fund, and our mission is to make long distance driving possible, building a network of ultra fast charging stations outside the cities only, trying to connect Central to Eastern Europe with a network of ultra-fast charging stations. We start in our trip having this picture as a model, and that shows what's the big problem, not only in Romania, but especially in Romania, because this is where we start in Bucharest. As you can see, there is a lack of ultra-fast charging stations, especially above 50 kilowatt. So the mass adoption of electric vehicles face these big problems. And our solution to this problem is building an ecosystem. Vato ecosystem promise to bring under the same roof several smart solutions. Ultra-fast charging up to 350, 400 kilowatt, charging smart personal and commercial electric vehicles, renewable energy via solar panels, storage for this renewable energy. Everything will be designed integrated. Every location will be only outside the cities and will connect, as I said previously, Central Europe to Eastern Europe. Of course, because this is a very ambitious project and requires a lot of funding, we will start with urban location. And we'll start, of course, with Bucharest, with some premium location, trying to deliver ultra-fast charging solutions up to 180 kilowatt. What makes us unique? We are the first project able to offer charging services for private cars, also for commercial cars as well. The feature of minivan, feature trucks, and small vans. We promise to charge your car in less than 10 minutes. Everything will be smartly integrated. We'll focus on premium location only. And very important, we'll make it simple and easy to use for everyone. We have a strong team of experts with more than 70 years accumulated expertise, and that makes us very proud of our team. I was saying that in 2019, we got the first financing from venture capital fund. The pandemic did not help us last year to move on, but now we are starting again to raise the next financing of 2 million euro to build these urban locations step. And then we will start deliver the outside the cities locations as well. In the end, I have to say that based on all the studies and all the expert opinions, the path to carbon neutrality comes in very simple ways. Not simple to implement, but simple to understand. It links with electromobility. It's based on digitalization. It requires a smart grid, which will connect energy storage with renewable energy. I believe this is the only way we should follow, and the European Union has already shown us and committed to this path as well. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm here for any question.
Thank you, Daniel. What an inspiring story. The future definitely looks brighter. So now we'll have Aneta and Anca exchange some stories about their expertise and their vision of what a smart city looks like in the next few years. So please, ladies, you have the floor.
Thank you, thanks a lot, and it's lovely to be here. So together with Anca, we've prepared this virtual mirror boards, which helps us to navigate through today's meeting, and I will share it. I already shared it for a little bit before, but let's take a dive into it once more. I hope you can see it. Could you please confirm that we are on the same side? That's perfect. Thanks a lot. So let me move here. So I might maybe to begin a little bit, maybe also I could add one more thing about myself, because I'm a city councillor in city of Warsaw, coming from district Wola, because in Warsaw we are also divided on districts, and I can understand well how many struggles there might be, but also there is a lot of opportunities related to this kind of divisions in the cities. And apart from being a local councillor, I'm also an expert in the city's transformation. I used to work for European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT Climate Kick. This is a big network and kind of agency supporting innovation in the area, especially in the area of climate change. And my job was focusing exactly on cities and their transformation, so making them smart. And then I'm also having a third hat. I'm also an NGO leader, local NGO, so I can also bring the perspective of citizens, and I'm supporting co-creation and good collaboration with the citizens on my end. And as I was mentioning, I can very well understand what are the pains of Bucharest. Everything what Mr. Deputy Mayor was mentioning to quite a big extent. It also relates to Warsaw and many other Polish cities. We also have quite similar struggles. For example, some struggles related to strategic planning. So one of our main pains is that we used to have strategies which were just documents of which almost no one knew, almost no one was using them, even if they were sometimes really good and they could have transformative powers. People were not used to really making use of them. And then we were also having local zoning plans, this spatial planning, which was totally separated from strategic planning. So only now we are starting to focus on how we might be blending those perspectives between strategic planning and local zoning plans. So this plans related to space. So I think that this for sure is something what we'll be doing in the nearest years, and probably we'll be having lots of interesting learnings on our way. And maybe if I might take a bit more of the dive to today's topic. So in my perspective, if I was about to say a little bit more about what could be observable as trends in development of smart cities. I would say that there are like two major perspectives which should be taken into which is good to take into consideration. One would be related to goals and understanding of the context, how the smart cities are developed, and the other perspective would be more operational. And I would like to share a bit more on those two perspectives, two pillars, right in a couple of minutes. So coming to this first perspective and the very goals and understanding what is the context of the smart city, what is it about to achieve, we can for sure see this trend towards well-being and sustainable development and assuring a good, at least not worse, future. And this is something a bit different because some years ago it was more observable, this focus on only economical side, on assuring security, making use of technological novelties. But nowadays we are becoming more and more aware that as to the impacts of human actions, and that assuring sustainability, assuring sustainable development is the key. That we also need to move towards carbon neutrality and towards towards resilience. So this is how prosperity and well-being is right now understood. It's not only about this economical and technological novelties. It is right now very human-centered and assuring well-being, and through this means assuring growth, sustainable growth. And nowadays, artificial intelligence, it allows for amazing things. Like, for example, artificial intelligence is able to paint paintings which are sold sometimes with quite crazy amount of money. They can make amazing visuals. We are also imagining how it will very soon impact our cities, the design of our cities. Already the designers are foreseeing how AI will influence their work, how also the construction sites will be changed, that it will be the AI doing the job on the site, and only a couple of people will be supervising the works done. So as it is foreseen, for example, by The Economist, within just one generation, almost half of human work is about to be replaced by artificial intelligence. So a lot of amazing stuff is happening. We know that the progress is coming, but the question is how actually we can use it in the best possible way where it is needed the most, so that we wouldn't be falling into just thinking in terms of gadgets, what is cool, what is nice to have, but how we can really target our intelligence, our technologies, our each day newer possibilities towards addressing the biggest needs and the biggest cities' needs. So talking about all those novelties, we tend to forget how vulnerable we are as human beings. So here, for example, this is a picture of the city of Warsaw, and it was done a year ago, and this is our biggest river, which during the summertime it gets more and more dry, and now it is even possible to walk from one side to the other, which wasn't even imaginable a couple years ago. So Warsaw is experiencing more and more droughts. There is also problem with flood flushing. We are experiencing the climate change, and also other Polish cities are sometimes facing, for example, lack of water already. And we can well understand that, we can well observe this trend that climate change is impacting Warsaw, many other Polish cities, and many cities in Poland and everywhere in Europe. So it's not only the climate change; it's not only related to Maldives. It's not only about polar bears, but the climate change impacts our daily life and poses a threat to food security, to water supply, and also to assuring appropriate temperature within the city. And here the other example is coming from the city of Valencia, which in 1957 there was a flood caused by a river. And after that, Spanish people moved this river, they redirected it, and it goes another way so that it wouldn't cause floods to the city anymore. But this picture shows an intervention of an artist who shows how high will be the sea level inside of the city center in only 8 years. So here on this other picture, there are some people standing, and we can see how high this water will be. So, for example, Valencia will be flooded, and similarly, other Polish, for example, other cities like also Polish, Gdańsk or Sopot. We tend to try not to think of it because it seems to be distant, but those changes are happening more and more fast. So data science, artificial intelligence, all those new tools and new technologies have to be used to navigate well through the complexity and to address those most burning issues which we are facing nowadays, like climate change, like pandemia, like our vulnerability, resilience of the cities, and all those aspects. And if the European Union has the ambition to make at least 100 European cities carbon neutral by 2030, as this is what the EU has announced, and all the cities carbon neutral by 2050, the technology, artificial intelligence, data science, it has to be well deployed in the most needed places to address our problems, to solve what's there. And now I would like to move to this other aspects to shift from those goals and understanding the context towards more operational side, how we are understanding the change within operation of smart cities, how they are being understood. Some time ago, I heard that technology is like a knife. It can be either used to kill someone, or it can be used to slice a tomato and make a tasty salad. So this statement may be a little bit drastic and maybe over colorful, but there is something in it. The thing is that technology, data science, artificial intelligence, it all depends on us, how we are going to use it for the better future, to assure the sustainability, to assure not only our well-being today, but also tomorrow and the years after. As to the development of this organizational, let's say, side of the smart cities, the international typology, and this is also something observable also in Poland, is that we've been having some progress from Smart City 1.0, which used to be inspired by vendors and inspired by what is technologically possible, but municipalities weren't yet ready to really deploy those technologies. Many times the infrastructure also, this in terms of IT, it wasn't ready, or for example, the technology was ready, but the data was not there, data wasn't opened. So even there were cases when solutions were bought, but later on they couldn't be used due to multiple aspects. And then we could observe a shift towards Smart City 2.0, where municipalities started to observe, started to understand more about how and where to use new technologies, how to be prepared. And it is when it's no longer the vendors and the technological possibilities are steering what is happening within the smart city, but it is more dependent on the public administration. And then there is a third Smart City 3.0, third stage, when there is a lot more awareness and there is involvement of the citizens, that citizens are crucial for the development of their cities, co-creation with them. And Polish cities also vary. Some are still in the stage 1, some are in the stage 3, but those which are the most advanced are already moving towards this smart city of the next level, where the city is understood as a system, where we are talking about holistic approach, where it's not only about creating point solutions, It is about creating portfolios of solutions which are interconnected, addressing well the needs, where many actors, stakeholders are involved. So it's not only about collaboration of the municipality and the citizens, but it is about collaboration of whole the city ecosystems. And here, this systems innovation approach in Poland, we are having two pioneering cities of Krakow and Rybnik, but in Europe, there is 15 cities which are already testing this kind of approach. And one of them is city of Leuven, city which got last year's award, European Innovation Capital. And they are a great example to show how important is the city innovation ecosystem. And we tend to think about, we tend to use the name of the system, of the systemic, we tend to refer to systems, but many times we are not really embracing what the system really means, what it entails, and how we might be using this systemic approach to navigate through the complexity and to find those points which we need to press in order to make the biggest, the most needed for us, the change that we need the most. And to explain what the systems thinking is, I would like to offer you a very short video which shows what does it actually mean, the systems thinking. Let me just see, because I might be having some technical issue. Maybe I'll need to open it in a new window. I also need to, just a second, please.
In the 1950s, the Dayak people of Borneo, an island in Southeast Asia, were suffering from an outbreak of malaria, so they called the World Health Organization for help. The World Health Organization had a ready-made solution, which was to spray copious amounts of DDT around the island. With the application of DDT, the mosquitoes that carried the malaria were knocked down, and so was the malaria. There were some interesting side effects, though. The first was that the roofs of people's houses began to collapse on their heads. Turns out the DDT not only killed off the malaria-carrying mosquitoes, but it also killed a species of parasitic wasp that had controlled a population of thatch-eating caterpillars. Thatch being what the roofs of the Dayak people's homes were made from. Without the wasps, the caterpillars multiplied and flourished and began munching their way through the villagers' roofs. That was just the beginning. The DDT affected a lot of the island's other insects, which were eaten by the resident population of small lizards called geckos. The biological half-life of DDT is around 8 years, so animals like geckos do not metabolize it very fast. It stays in their system for a long time. Over time, the geckos began to accumulate pretty high levels of DDT, and while they tolerated the DDT fairly well, the island's resident cats, which dined on the geckos, did not. The cats ate the geckos, and the DDT contained in the geckos killed the cats. With the cats gone, the island's population of rats came out to play. We all know what happens when rats multiply and flourish. Pretty soon the Dayak people were back on the phone to the World Health Organization, only this time it wasn't malaria that was the problem. It was the plague and the destruction of their grain stores, both of which were caused by the overpopulation of rats. This time though, the World Health Organization didn't have a ready-made solution and had to invent one. What did they do? They decided to parachute live cats into Borneo. Operation Cat Drop occurred courtesy of the Royal Air Force and eventually stabilized the situation.
If you enter
So I hope that you enjoyed the video, and it was a little bit to explain that it might be hard to foresee the consequences of our action. But what I would like to share with you is that new approaches and smart deployment of new technologies of data science can be really helpful to think about consequences, about the full consequences of our actions, so that their unexpected effects, like in the case of cats from Borneo, they wouldn't happen. And as a case, I would like to show you a map of the city as a system, city of Rybnik in Poland, which is a mining city, which is in a big, deep transformation. And this map may seem to be chaotic, but actually it really shows the interconnectedness of different elements in the city. And then this map was also is having quite several versions. In some moments we are like zooming into some special, some aspects of the city life, but it allows to understand barriers, opportunities, and those so-called leverage points. So those points that if we will press, we can induce much bigger change than simply shooting with random solutions anywhere. So this is like really targeting where it is the most needed, and also starting in the most needed places, which will open something bigger, which will allow us to introduce a bigger change, to induce those something like a kind of butterfly, a positive butterfly effect. And we are also liking to say that this is a kind of city acupuncture to heal the city. So this is the most innovative approach to transformation of the cities, to make it smart and to allow it to address the most burning issues. And this approach is tailor-made each time for the city. Each time, each of the cities, even sometimes when they are very close, is having a little bit different context, sometimes little or sometimes very different problems. So seeing those allows to navigate through those challenges. And here I think I will stop, because I know that Anka has also prepared a lot of interesting stuff. Probably I will also chip in certain moments. Thank you, and please don't hesitate to ask us more questions. We will try to address them either in chat or speaking here publicly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aneta. Anka, please.
Hi, so I'm Anka. I am as a profession a former data scientist and researcher. I was studying AI, then I have been a founder, an entrepreneur, a business consultant in ICT field, and you all probably are wondering what is a data scientist doing here and trying to solve city problems. Well, if I would be to answer this question, I would have to go back 10 years ago while I was doing my PhD near Buenos Aires in Argentina. I was invited by the United Nations University to work on a project in which I could help using AI the local authorities. At that time, I was not very aware about what is a smart city, but I kind of found out from the experts in Estonia administration, and also with the help of some amazing people in this field, like Elsa Esteves from United Nations University, or Teresa Pardo, which was at that moment the president of the Digital Governance Society. So it was a very, let's say, strong work even then, like 10 years ago. So to come back here to tell you what should a data scientist and how could a data scientist help? Well, I go back to the cats example. So the cats from Borneo example, it's a really good example of the chaos theory in mathematics, which says that a small change in a certain state of a system, of a nonlinear dynamic system, could bring very high, tremendous consequences to the world. And this was the case here. So basically, everything in this world is mathematics. And what I can do here is to explain to you a little bit how we can, using science, to avoid such situations. Well, when I think of a smart city, I think actually that it is a living organism. And we must make sure that this living organism, we sustain it, we experiment in it, and then we bring innovation. This is what smart city is. Well, during my work as a founder and in the ITC field, I did a lot of projects in smart tourism, even in smart people for crowd management in Middle East. And I even implemented some smart city projects here in Romania. Aneta, if you're kind to show a little bit the smart city examples, since 2017, I've been working with a company here in Cluj called Life It's Hard, and we worked on several platforms that were implemented in Romania, and I had the chance to participate in all of them. So Aneta, if you're kind to go a little bit through the slides, if not, I just go quickly. We had projects that did with mobility, like smart parking in Cluj-Napoca, like city health, a platform to sustain the voice of citizens in the administration process. All of these solutions are very, very helpful. And the thing is that we speak a lot about smart cities, but it is very hard to implement and to start from somewhere. I was listening very closely with what the deputy mayor was saying, and also with what Daniel was saying. There is still a struggle. And in my perception, everything needs to go in a certain order. Like in a chaos theory, we cannot do something until we have some order. And how we can achieve that order? Well, the answer is standardization. We need standards. Standards, they are already guidelines and regulations that we need to consider when we implement a smart city strategy or smart city project. And these standards exist also in Romania with the help of some very nice ladies like Cristina Popa and Doina Dragomir and Paulina Mitra from the City Technical Committee of Smart City Standardization Body, and with the help of government involvement, like Mr. Dragoș Preda, the former Secretary of State, we managed to bring some standards also on the Romanian let's say on the Romanian environment. So basically we have those standards, but we need the government involvement to say more about this, and also to outline the importance of them, because let's be honest, people are very scared about what digital means, about their privacy, about the cyber attacks, and only government can provide that reassurance to people that it's safe, we can do this work. So that is why I come here with the appeal to have the local government and the national government support us more in the standardization for smart cities. And moving forward, like we need at this point to do a reboot in this time of the pandemics, a redesign and recovering of what smart city is. We need to work in the sustainability part, to focus more on the urban mobility. We need to focus more on the economic sustainability, why not? And nevertheless, the environmental aspects. All of this we must do. But who does this? Who is responsible for this? Well, there are the so-called smart city designers. Who is a smart city designer? Well, it can be me, the data scientist expert. It can be Mr. Deputy Mayor, who is a policymaker and is in the administration. It can be Aneta, it can be Danielle, a social entrepreneur, and it can be even Anna, which is a citizen of this world. We all need to work together to do this. And in order to achieve this, we have to make sure that we leave some space also for imagination and for trying. Like what I know about, especially in Romania market, Romania thinking, sorry, it's the problem with mistakes. Like people, they always expect from everyone to be perfect, but things are not perfect. There is a chaos, and we need to bring disorder. And in disorder, we do mistakes, but we need also to work together. So the importance, what I want to outline here, is that we need to bring the order step by step. And we need for this to make sure that we have the proper data to do this. Oh, I heard so much about data lately, and actually I'm not very much into this this concept, but it's important because currently data is the fuel for the smart city. And how it can be used? Well, smart cities in general are a tremendous source of data. We have data from sensors, from people, from all the tools that we use. And the companies have already knocked at the door administration to provide solution and to use this data. Well, sometimes for good, but sometimes for bad. And smart cities and smart administrators, they need to be clever about this and try to collaborate and to co-create with businesses and with people to bring this data a value for the municipality. Don't leave this data be wasted or being used by other companies without actually paying for it or without actually giving something back. So we need to work closely on this, and we need to have an open data structure that it's fueled in by the businesses that work and by the local administration, but also giving access to academic and to social entrepreneurs and to young people or old people that have ideas. And nevertheless, all this data needs to be arranged afterwards in metadata and ontologies of data. Okay, I'm going to scientific here, but the idea is that we need to find some order also in this data, and then to implement it even further and create a digital version of a city. It's called a digital twin. A digital twin, it's a virtual representation of a city in the digital world. Why is this important? Because here we can play. We can play with changes. We can play with projects. We can experiment without actually doing something bad for the environment or for the people. So these digital twins are a new trend in smart cities, and they are being used by the municipality of Helsinki, by Singapore, from like basically all over the world. And they use like technology like VR and AI and building information model and GIS. So they are actually very easy to implement, and there is a digital twin consortium, and the administration can really have a very clean and easy access to those digital twins that I encourage them to use. And that is the problem and the solution of AI. As a researcher former researcher in AI, I would say that we are close to let's say to a new inflection point in what is the digital society, and we need to be prepared for AI. And we can do this with the help of having all this data structure. Then we can bring AI to another level. When you put the AI part into a city, you actually teach the city how to think like a human. And from here, we can speak of intelligent cities, not smart, but intelligent cognitive smart cities. And from here, we can go even further, which is a brain a brain city, which is a concept that was developed by a group of academia and people from Cluj. But what I would like to say is that we need to start to organize things better, and we need to put all our efforts into the benefit of the people and into the benefit of smart cities. And last thing before I finish and we start the workshop, I wanted to say more, but I'm very strict with time. And I just want to say that we have to put at the center of a smart city the people, but I come to say more, we have to put also the benefit of our planet, because cities must be a hub for biodiversity conservation and for climate resilience. So that is very important, and this is what we need to do. So thank you, and I'm looking forward for the workshop.
Actually, I'm seeing that we are having 10 more minutes, because our first part was a little bit faster. So I think that maybe we can have a fast dive into a little bit more of examples, and I think they will be a really good connection to our workshop. So here on this part, we've prepared with Anka a couple of examples. How we might be thinking, where we might be deploying new technologies, data science, artificial intelligence. So these are just a couple of examples, couple of ideas. We could be having really lots of those post-its. So you can, but the basic here is to understand that smart city, it is not only about the IT department and leaders of the city. It is about each and every department, unit, but also it is about all the city, everyone who creates the city. So also and especially the citizens, business, academia, non-governmental organizations, and everywhere who creates the city. And here you can see couple of like those let's say bubbles which represent different areas of city life. Of course, we could be adding more and more bubbles here, and also those lines which are shown in here, they are just something they are representing the fact that everything is interconnected. Actually, those lines should be drawn from each of this bubble to each of the other bubble, but for the clarity, so that it would be a bit visible, I just stick to showing one like one connection or two connections per each bubble. But actually, everything is really connected in the city, and it's crucial to also understand those connections between different areas, and it's crucial to think of the city as a whole body, as a kind of living organism which is in constant move, which is in constant change. And this is also super important to observe the dynamics within the city, because the solution which we are having today, it will not be, it might be not be good anymore in 5 years, 10 years, but also it may not be already suitable in 1 year. That's why we need to focus on this constant learning, constant observation with changes, and constant growth. So we also shouldn't be scared that for example, a solution which we are having, which we have worked hard to achieve today, it doesn't work anymore in a year. This is how the nature nowadays is. The changes of the world are very rapid, and we live in a globalized world. We are experiencing many factors that are influencing cities, like pandemic, climate change, and many other issues. So data science here can be really helpful to see what is changing, and helps to react fast, and helps to especially to make wise decisions, and to also to co-create with different stakeholders of the municipality. So here this decision making and especially the impact assessment, impact of policies, programs, projects, and everything what happens. This is crucial, and also foreseeing the impact. Like I was mentioning, for example, it's the digital twins are a great tool to foresee what is going to happen if we will implement certain kind of solution.
Can I
Maybe,
add? Sorry,
yeah, sure.
I saw there that we should add also a connection between education and economy. The most important part of a city are its citizens, and we need to invest more in education and interdisciplinary education. This is a problem where a lot of administration struggle, especially here in the Romanian scenario, because at school we were like taught like disciplines, that they are separate and there is no connection, and that is false. We need to focus more on interdisciplinary education, and also it is very relevant for the economy, because without the proper workforce and without the proper skills that have to go to data science a lot and to ICT, we are doomed as a nation for the future. So we need to have connections, and everything is strongly and doubly connected. So I really like what you said about the living organism, and this is how it should be treated. Thank you.
Yes, and actually, as I was mentioning, yeah, here, for example, mobility looks as if it was separated. I don't know, there should be some line. For some reason it has disappeared, but actually I believe that we could even organize a very separate workshop, for example, where we would be focusing on the city of Bucharest to see where and how different elements are interconnected. So, for example, environment and education and economy, economy and urban planning. So we could be drawing many more of those lines, and we could be coming up with more of examples in each of those aspects. So I'm sorry, wrong tab. So I believe this would be also a great discussion.
Sure.
Maybe so if I could share a little bits more, referring to, on one side, to decision making, but also to co-creation. There are to this thinking how actually we might be using data science, artificial intelligence to really leverage on what is the most important. For example, new approaches, new technologies, they can help us to reevaluate city elements. Like here is an example of trees as infrastructure, which allows to track and to count how many benefits in terms of money trees are bringing to the city. So, for example, it was assessed in New York that having a green street, it allows the shops and restaurants on this street, which was green, to have higher incomes, more clients, about 8 to 15%. So this is just one aspect, because trees, for example, are helping the drainage system. They are cleaning the air, and they are providing multiple benefits, which are shown in here. So if you are interested, I also encourage to see this website. And this is something to showcase that we might be reevaluating different elements within the city, thanks to the new technologies, and to be on track of that. And another, I think, also interesting example is co-creation of the city. And here is an example of using augmented reality by the citizens to help to understand, help to imagine how their nearest neighborhoods may be looking like, and for example, propose some changes, propose how it would be the best to develop, to foresee what might be the effects of certain solutions, and to really feel that they are a part of the city, and that they are co-creating it, and that they want to contribute, that they want to, they are also the ones who are also owners of what is going to happen within the city. So this is something what is also super important, that the future of the city, it wouldn't be, that there wouldn't be this kind of feeling that it is only the municipalities, it is only politicians or officials who are responsible for what is going to the city. It is important that the citizens would also be having this shared feeling that they are both helping to design what is going to happen, they are helping to implement what is happening, and then they are also responsible for this common evaluation and making steps together. So if they are, for example, understanding how they have contributed or they have not contributed, they can also see, for example, if they didn't contribute to certain action, which is important for the city, they should not be complaining, because this is also something what is quite popular to happen, that we are having many people who complain, who like to write posts on, for example, on Facebook, in social media, but doing actually something, doing, helping to implement, making some more creative contributions, that is something much harder, but of course it is possible, and actually this is something crucial to address the challenges by the city. So this shared responsibility is an important tool, and new technologies can help a lot to achieve those goals.
So we are moving now to the workshop part, Aneta, because I want to have like the people looking. I'm sure that they have a lot of questions. So let's see if there are some questions first from the audience, and if somebody wants to say something, and then we move to the workshop.
Yes, and first of all, thank you very much for such an amazing and informing discussion. And I'd like for the people which are here now with us to raise the hand, and our technical team will put you in contact, and then you can interact with our panelists.
So if somebody wants to join us for the workshop in a more interactive way, please write on the chat, and then you will appear as a panelist, and you will be able to join us at the next session. And until then, to prepare a little bit the workshop, Aneta, can you put the moment that we prepared and explain a little bit what it is, so people are not scared that it's us singing?
Yes, sure. So we have prepared 2 questions to transition to the workshop, because some people might be already needing to leave, but the others would like to stay on this more interactive part. So we are having those questions. I can copy paste them to the chat, but in the meantime, I will also play a music which was also done by artificial intelligence. I hope it will give you a bit more and relaxed moods for the Friday morning. So let's go. I need to switch here. Okay.
I'm lost when I'm with you. There's no hesitation in your eyes.
Baby, bye, bye, bye. Oh, bye, bye, bye. Baby, by myself. The stain grows more obvious.
In this dream of the bird who's flying over roses of sadness.
Baby, bye, bye, bye. Oh, bye, bye, bye. Baby, summer's gone. It's gone for the both of us, and tears will always have wet. Eyes that cry, but I survive on a mission. I will let you go forever.
just summer rolling in the moonshine.
Baby, bye, bye, bye. Oh, bye, bye, bye. Baby, let me go so close to the holy ground. The tears will always have wet eyes. I cry, but answer. Five on a mission. I will let you go forever. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. There's no life without your life in misery. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Don't break my heart, it's powerless. This magic is inspired of me, don't keep me hanging on. Don't break my heart, it's powerless. This magic is inspired of me, don't keep me hanging on. I will let you go forever. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. There's no life without your life in misery. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. There's no life without your life in misery. Blue jeans and bloody tears.
Blue jeans and bloody tears. Blue jeans and bloody tears. There's no life without your life in misery. Blue jeans and bloody.
Thank you so much. I'm trying also to check the questions because we were like talking and to see there are some interesting questions that was put and they were already answered by Daniel. Thank you so much, Daniel, for helping us here. And I had here like a question from Loredana. She was saying that it is not why we say that it's not intuitive and easy to buy a ticket by SMS for public transportation. Well, I don't know exactly where was this part mentioned, but I just want to say that we need to make things even simpler for these things to happen automatically. So if somebody has, for example, a card or an app in his pocket, when it enters into the bus, it should already be connected to a beacon and already asking to extract money, not for us to look in actively what is the SMS number and not to forget to pay for the ticket, because sometimes this happens. So it should be the technology should come to help us, but in a more active way and not always for us to wait to give to make the first step. So basically we can make things even simpler. So that was my answer. And what are the main institutionalized ways of transporting expertise?
If I may also add something on top of your answer, Anka, first to the previous answer, that there are multiple solutions actually which might be used. And for example, in Poland, in Wrocław or in Łódź, we have been testing those systems where when you enter, for example, a tram, there is a kind of measurement where you enter and when you leave, and then you pay only for as many kilometers or as big distance as you've actually done. So you are just putting your cards to the special reader, special place, and this reads what was your distance, and also there are possibilities like, for example, integrating our bank cards with those city transportation, city mobility cards, that because probably also quite a lot of you, same as me, struggle with so many plastic cards. So there are solutions to also reduce this number of plastics. Maybe in the future we won't be even using the plastics. Maybe we'll be just having some scanners which will be either reading our fingerprints or our eye pupils or things like that, so that we wouldn't have to carry so much. But then we will be, for example, charged for different different services which we are getting, also those from the city, like for example, city transport.
Yeah, and there was another question from Facebook. Is urban air mobility a component comprised within the existing mobility plan? Well, to answer this, the regulation are just being drafted, and the quick question is that no, but it should be considered, because in a few years the disruptive ways of transport, they are going to invade us, and we will need to adjust again. So when we make a plan, we make a strategy, we have a little bit to think for. It's like exactly like when you do the strategy for a company, you do it for, you have the short-term plan, you have the short future, and then you have the long future. So always keep in mind to make it at least easy to adapt. And that's the thing with the digital twins that I was telling you about. It's important to have this model, because models can be really shaped, adapted very easy at a digital level, and then you do these changes in the physical world. And there was another question. There are institutionalized ways of transferring expertise between smart cities. Of course, as I was mentioning about the standards, they are at an international level, and they gather basically the guidelines. But then to transfer your own expertise from another smart city, this can be happening with the help of these smart city ontologies. More and more cities are reaching out and having these ontologies that can actually communicate and allow the data transfer from one part to another, and the expertise. So this is like the plan. And also, of course, the ontology and as I mentioning, the digital twins. And if this is too much and people don't have it, there are these councils and organizations like the Digital Twin Council, Smart City Council, Open and Agile Smart Cities. So there are many organizations, internationals, where cities can apply to, and they share knowledge. I hope that I answer more at an international level. And at the national level, we are discussing also to create more bridges between the smart cities and the local authorities and the national government. So I think that they should
and
also
maybe if I can again add something on top of what Joanka said. It is also about understanding that cohorts are learning together faster. They can be growing faster. That's why it's so much. It is so important to collaborate among cities, be it within one country or between countries, to share the learnings and to simply go faster together, to change for better faster. And there are also multiple of European programs, like especially those supported by the European Union, but also there are some other ones that are helping the cities to come together, to learn together, to form some kind of clusters. Like, for example, I was also mentioning this goal of so-called City Mission Board, which is an advisory body to the European Commission, which right now is finishing which has already finished and is right now presenting their plan for how to support at least 100 European cities to become carbon neutral by 2030. So those cities will be also interconnected. They are going to learn together. Probably the call will be announced in the end of this year or beginning of next year. This is how it is foreseen, and there will be those piloting cities, but also other cities will be welcomed to join this board and to make this the holistic change much faster, and to exchange the best experiences, but also those worst ones. That's why it is also so important to really openly say what was the struggle, what was hard, what was the barrier, also in terms of implementing of solutions or designing them, so that we could understand how really we can move forward and change for better.
And one more thing, so moving to the workshop part, before this meeting, we had a questionnaire sent to people, and they were mostly from Bucharest that were answering, and we wanted to see what people think that they are the major problems, because we don't have a centralized or a way to look, okay, what are the main problems of the city. So we wanted to see from people's opinions, and they all were mentioning the mobility part. That's why I also and Aneta focus on this part, and the possibility to have a more, let's say, a more connected community, like at the social level, and people to come together and solve these challenges. And I can give the example here from Cluj, where there are gatherings being done, open gathering and hybrid way, like online and physical, in which citizens, companies, and all the stakeholders of a city are invited to debates and to discuss solutions, opportunities for this. And there is even this project of participatory budgeting that we also created software for it to be easy for people to suggest solutions. And we are very happy to work closely with Diana here, Mardarovic, and with the mayor and with the City Hall of Bucharest to see what would be some solutions in this direction. But the main voice and the main solution should come from citizens that are like are doing the daily commute to their work, to bring children to school and other places. And what I can say is that the future is micromobility. So try to take the bike to work. Today it's carbon-free Friday, meaning that, for example, in Cluj, all the citizens have free public access to any public transportation, so they can leave the car at home and walk or take a bike or an e-scooter and go to their meetings. I also plan to do that later. So it's up to us to find solutions. The city halls can help us and find a more like refined ways, but the power is in you. So take the bike, walk, do some jogging, and stay hydrated, because it's very, very warm today. Aneta, if you want to add something more for the mobility part, please go.
Mm-hmm. Well, as to the mobility, we are having quite some examples here, but I think that's it would be really great if we could also hear about the examples from our audience, because there is so many solutions in the world. You might be also either, for example, traveling and seeing by yourself some interesting solutions, or you might have read about something interesting. So we would also welcome your comments and especially sharing your knowledge with us. So as to the mobility, we've been seeing quite some aspects, but maybe also before we go back to the mobility, I know that also Diana wanted to comment, so maybe let's invite Diana to share her perspective from Bucharest.
Hello, everybody, and it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. I've been listening very attentively to everything that was mentioned, both by my colleague, the Deputy City Mayor, and by the experts. Now, there's one thing that I have to mention to you. Citizen involvement is very important. On the other hand, you have to understand local administration is paid by the citizens to solve problems. So we cannot put this on citizens. Citizens will not come up with the plan and the solutions for a city as large as Bucharest. That is unrealistic. One thing that you have to keep in mind, everything starts from good urban planning. What you have right now is high density neighborhoods being built without any schools, without any kindergartens, without any shops in the neighborhood. So that creates a huge pressure on the city's infrastructure. That creates a lot of the traffic that we're handling. Telling people to take a bike is just, although a nice incentive, is just not realistic. The second thing we have to keep in mind is the urban mobility plan that was proposed and voted at the city level involves buildings and large infrastructure projects outside of Bucharest. So for example, the highway ring that must be built so that a lot of the traffic that is congesting Bucharest is from outside Bucharest. There is no solution right now that to basically avoid going through the city center when you want to traverse the city. So a lot of these things, although I do appreciate your thoughts on how citizens can be involved, is the job of the public administration. So solutions must be given, offered, and found by public administration, and input from citizens must come. So one of the things you guys mentioned is all the debates that are organized. The same thing happens in Bucharest, and unfortunately, the level of participation of citizens is very low. So I am quite disappointed with that every time, because all the public, for example, at 12, this is why my colleague had to go, we have a debate on the city's public transport. So the number of citizens attending those debates and coming with feedback is very low. One of the things that they should do is follow the City Hall website and get involved with an opinion, because we find ourselves in the situations all the time. After the public debate period has ended, citizens come to us and say, you haven't asked us. There's a time for everything, and getting involved at the right time is very important. So in a way, courses and education on active citizenship and how it works is extremely important all over Romania and in Bucharest as well. Because sometimes, once the project is voted, of course you can amend it in time, but there's a missed opportunity. I would also like to see a lot more engagement from entrepreneurs. Sadly, so I see the same kind of attitude, and I have higher expectations from entrepreneurs. We send all the agenda for our city hall council meetings in advance, and we hardly get any feedback, especially from entrepreneurs who I would expect, or NGO, who I would expect to have a more educated opinion on certain issues. Now, as you know, the participatory budgeting was one of my projects that was voted on at the level of Bucharest this year, and it is in public discussion right now. So we would highly appreciate your opinions as soon as possible, and we will also organize a public debate. So please do follow what we're doing, because I have this a lot of the times I'm being asked why we don't do things that are already being implemented. Yes, I understand that it's not the citizens' obligation to get informed, but once you want to be an active citizen, do it all the way. So contact us. Once I made my phone number public, since I was running a campaign, I expected that I should get another number because I would get so many phone calls every day. Well, that actually did not happen. So I'm very sad to say that there's no way we can know everything that's happening and everything that's wrong unless you write to us, unless you tell us. Because yes, we can fix even potholes in the street overnight, but we cannot know exactly how many there are. So that is on a general idea of citizen engagement. One of the questions that I've seen is about institutionalized ways of transferring expertise. Right now, Bucharest, of course, we are on a city councilor level engaging with councilors from other cities, but to give you a straightforward answer, no, there is no such thing. There are many programs run by different types of institution, but there is no one place you go to get this know-how for sure, like at a European level or at any level. So to make a long story short, no. And there are a lot of NGOs trying to do this, of course, and that's laudable. But on the other hand, if we're talking institutional, there should be engagement on European Union level or regional level or things like that. Now, one of the things we are trying to reduce is inequalities, as Mr. Pintilea mentioned earlier. There is a lot of energy poverty in Bucharest as well. We are a city of contrast, so you do have those very highly developed parts of the city, and even 1 kilometer away, you have people that are heating themselves up using rubber, using basically tires. So, addressing what you've mentioned about surveys, according to our surveys, #1 concern in Bucharest right now is heating. So that is the #1 problem that we need to solve as soon as possible. That is basically offering our citizens basic human conditions. Second would be traffic and mobility. And third is air quality. So we're talking about air pollution. And that is a very big problem because actually it's affecting our lives. Studies show that life expectancy in Bucharest is 4 years lower than at a national level because of air pollutants. So I hope that addressed some of the questions. I'm looking forward to the ideas that come out of the workshops, and I'll be here, although I will turn off my camera, but I will be here to listen to you guys and to looking forward to see if any of your ideas can become reality as soon as possible in Bucharest. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. And if you have any more questions, please let us know. Or
If not.
Anca, please.
So referring to what Diana said regarding the problem with agglomeration, there is this concept now of 15-minute city in which, yes, when we think about urban planning, we have to consider the aspect of the 15 minutes distance, meaning that all utilities and schools and shops and even malls should be in 15 minutes reach, so that people stay in their neighborhood and they just go to other parts of the city when it is necessary and commute. And also with hybrid like workplaces that would also solve part of the agglomeration problem. And of course, not only like bikes, but a general, more systematic way of adopting solution. I was referring to the cities and what citizens can do right now, but generally there are plans, there are standardized ways and models that can be implemented. And about this urban planning, it's I know that I don't have the experience in the urban planning, but it should have a digital expert, it should have a standardization expert, and it should invite like people with expertise in the urban planning. It should have a GIS, geographical information system. It should have like a tool to visualize the situation and then to start planning, to see exactly like the deputy mayor said, solve all the problems with all the land, and then to be able to implement new projects. But until then, put a pause and organize things, because otherwise the butterfly effect is going to happen again, no matter how fast you want to implement the solution. And I know that it's a great struggle for the city of Bucharest. And as a representative of a smart city solution, I put at your disposal the solutions that we have and the software that we created and the expertise from other cities to help you in every way that we can. So we have our platform for service, for polls, and for anything that is necessary, even a GIS system ready for the implementation. But the problem is here, it's also the public-private partnership. It's still very in its infancy, and a lot of companies, I say from the company part of view, they are like afraid to work with city halls because they know what is the bureaucracy, and also the city halls have the problem with having to have this auction being like tenders being organized for anything that they do that has a certain budget. And the way to do this is to actually choose the one that offers the smallest amount of money, which is not always the best way. because sometimes they just go to these auctions and to these tenders just to win, and they offer terrible solutions, and then there is this butterfly effect, and then you have to solve.
Anka, if I may interrupt you, that is actually not accurate. So the minimum price is true. That is a condition, legal condition, but it's a minimum price for quality that you mention in the tender. So that is not a hindrance for public auctions. That is actually a false information that is not used correctly. So if you organize a tender, if you implement minimum in the tender book, if you write down the correct minimum standards, it's no problem to select the minimum price. It's not a problem. So that is actually one of the things that we're trying to, there's so much information that's actually misinterpreted. There's no other way to legally, transparently compare offers other than minimum price. But if you do it correctly, that's not a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the only problem is to actually write the specifications correctly and to have the experts that prepare this. And the problem is the city halls don't have the necessary experts, because, you know, it's very hard. Like, I know, like money-wise, and like also like people that are experts, they prefer to go to work in private for better salaries. And also it's very hard to put together all these people and to consider.
When you organize a tender, you have outside experts, you actually hire them from the private sector, and they do get involved. And the people that, the experts from outside, from the private sector cannot participate at the tender that they're writing the conditions for. That is from a legal perspective.
Of course.
So again, I'm not saying necessarily the information you're giving is completely wrong, but it's strongly inaccurate. So I would rather not go in that direction, if you may.
Okay, I totally understand your perspective on this part, and thank you. Just I'm speaking from the private part and how it is seen from our side, and it should be more openness and transparency in this part. And one more thing for the expertise. Yes, you have experts, but you have to have experts that cover all of these things that we discussed with Aneta here. That the connections that are very strong, and you have someone that it's expert on that part, but he doesn't know the consequences on the other part. And that's the problem, that people should think more larger scale than not specifically on that, and accept and I don't know, their limitations, and don't be afraid to say and ask for help. And because we, the private sector, are here and experts are here, international, Aneta is here, and national. So thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think if I can add to what Anka was saying, it is really important to create strong ecosystem, both on the city, national, but also international level, when good expertise can be supportive, and those mutual learnings. And for example, from my experience, since I'm also on the municipal side, but also I'm observing what happens with our public tenders, we are having the regulation which allows to use not only this criterion of the price or best value for the price, but also other criteria. They might be used, but commonly by the most municipalities they are not used. Because the officials are a little bit too much into rush, because they are not using enough expertise, or sometimes even recently I had this case that me and my organization, we were advising one municipality, and then they simply didn't use our advice for some reason, and we are simply expecting that it will be super hard for them to achieve what they were actually hoping to achieve. Apparently, simply having a tender with just the price, it was easier. So I'm super happy to hear about the approach of Bucharest, how aware you are, that you are collaborating with experts. For sure, this makes what you will be getting from vendors a much higher quality. And here I also think that there might be some, for sure not all, but some interesting projects, sometimes some experiments where not only the experts will be fueling with their expert knowledge, but also citizens or NGOs or, for example, universities. They might be coming with their expertise or with their expectation, because later on also they will be using those solutions. So it is really good to involve different stakeholders into the design phase. Of course, not for all kind of solution, but at least to test this kind of approaches where we might actually be deploying those different kinds of expertise, views, but then also making all those different actors co-owners of those solutions and co-responsible for them. So when you co-design with someone, then the person also cares more about the solution. So they will help to implement it. They will have to take care about this. They may, for example, make a good publicity for this. They may encourage other actors or city stakeholders or citizens to simply use the solution. And as to the citizens' participation, yeah, I can well understand that it is many times not easy. And actually, I was also personally involved in participatory budgeting in Warsaw. I was actually fighting for it to be implemented way before it was implemented in Warsaw, like 2012, 2013, and only after it was implemented. And I was also observing the struggles on the way, and I'm right now also helping active citizens to shape their propositions, and there can be multiple things which might be requiring fixing within the participatory budget mechanism, but there are also plenty of other mechanisms which may be used for citizens' participation. So, for example, there is a very simple tool, which, for example, we are having in Warsaw, which is called Citizens Initiative. So this is something different because it is not that the citizen only gives the idea and later on the municipality it is implementing it. Actually, not the municipality, but usually some company, and in many cases those companies are not implementing exactly what the idea givers were implementing. So this is also sometimes disencouraging for the citizens, or there are delays. But in case, for example, of the Citizens Initiative, this is the tool in which citizens are coming up with some idea. It can be small idea, but then the municipality gives the tools to do something. So, for example, we can imagine that citizens want to have a garden and take care of it. They would say to the municipality that they are asking for the plants and tools to organize this garden, and then they would give their work to organize this garden and take care of it, take care about it later on. And that's for sure the beginnings are not easy, but once you have one or two active citizens, once they are starting to make those visible change and good collaboration with the municipality, then more and more people, they want to join. They also want to take care about their neighborhoods. And actually within, since I'm a local councillor, I've been supporting this kind of movements. And since those 6 years, I can really see how much in my district has changed thanks to those at first single, like one, then two, then three people who are caring about their neighborhood. And right now all their neighborhoods or almost all their neighborhoods are engaged, and they are really proud of those places where they are living in and how much they managed to change them. So this is another example, but there is also plenty of other tools which might be used, like collaboration platforms like in Leuven 2030, when everyone is joining equally and designing the change in the city. There is, for example, citizens assembly to decide on important issues for the city. Maybe actually, it's not the topic to really dive deeply into each of those tools. Actually, we could be having a separate debate about each of those possibilities. If you'd be interested, of course, we can also talk about it, and I can share with you some Polish experience or ask some experts that I know that are also working internationally, and we can also share our experiences and grow together.
Daniel, please, the floor.
Yes, thank you. I have short questions, 2 questions for Mrs. Mardarovic. I tried to link my question to my presentation as well. And the first question is thinking that the mobility market will grow and will grow fast. Do you have, as a local authority, any concrete plan to integrate the ultra fast charging, not the fast charging, the ultra fast charging in the city? Because already the fast is not fast enough. Of course, it's fast enough for today, but as a proactive authority, I would think for 10 years ahead and make my life easier for the times will come. That is the first question. And the second question is, practically and realistically, what are the chances for Bucharest, thinking how everything was built chaotically, and what is the chance for the local authority to adjust and to make, as Anca already said, 15 minutes city walk, or to adjust the city as much as possible to this short distance walk, and to integrate the kindergarten and kindergarten and all the other stuff very much near the citizen and not fast, is not far away as they are now. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent questions. And I'm very passionate about both of them. So the first thing, fast charging. We're right now working, and Stelian and myself are involved in working at a parking, how do you call it, rules and parking regulation on a city level. And those parking regulations, we also have accessed European funding. I think we are about to receive an answer for fast charging for electric cars, because you have noticed that most of the new Dacia Spring electric bought were by people of Bucharest. So we have to find a way to basically allow all of these cities, these cars to have solutions within the city. The great thing about the free market is that it always finds solutions and it moves faster than local government. And one of the things that I really, really encourage is to stay out of their way. So basically, if there are entrepreneurs, if there's the private sector that already started doing this, we should encourage them with as little bureaucracy as possible, and one-stop shop of them saying, you know, I'm building this, it's gonna be for Bucharest, it's gonna be for electric cars, and just move out of the way. We don't need your 1,000 levels of bureaucratic authorization. So that's
soon I will be at your door with this approach.
No problem. We have met with a lot of innovators, especially in the parking and charging solutions, because we are working on this regulation, and it has to be easily adapted. The last parking regulation that existed for Bucharest was voted on, I think, 15 years ago, and it is no longer valid. So one of the things that I personally want to do, and it might be unpopular, but then again, I'm not looking to win a popularity contest. It's now or never. I might never get to be a city councillor, but I'm gonna get this done, is to no longer allow hybrid cars to have free parking, because hybrid is not eco-friendly. And now the number of hybrid cars in Bucharest has increased a lot, and it does not, they are pollutants, and some of them pollute more than some of the new petrol cars. So I see no reason why it should be free for hybrid cars. I think it should be free for electric, and that is something we will adapt, and that might be not popular, but you know what? One of the things about citizens being engaged and supporting local authorities, listen, to build the city that we want, we need to do some things that are not popular. but there is no other way. You cannot make everybody happy.
True.
And right now it's impossible to walk down the street in Bucharest. We live in a giant parking lot. It's insane. The quality of life is horrible for somebody for taking a simple walk. Now, talking about the 15-minute cities. Now, I'm a great fan of the book Life and Death of Great American Cities. I believe that cities should be adapted to citizens and not the other way around. So one of the things that has happened is that this has happened naturally. It's a offer-demand situation. So if a certain, I've seen in time, like ground floors of buildings, even in my neighborhood, evolved. At first it was a shop, and then it turned into a restaurant, because my neighborhood absolutely has no places for restaurants and stuff like that. So one of the things that is naturally happening, driven by demand, is already happening, but it must be encouraged. It must be encouraged by giving authorizations for certain types of buildings that are needed. Now, a second thing that I want to do is offer private kindergartens and private preschools free rent in the buildings that the city owns. And that is something that we will probably be able to do starting next year, because I do believe the private sector moves faster. So, and the problem with having enough kindergartens and preschools, one of the problems is that it's not a hugely profitable business. So now where we can go and intervene is making it more profitable by decreasing their costs and offering them in a certain way. So for the first year, it can be free. Second year, they can pay 10% or something, because the first year should be free because they have to invest in the space. So the space needs to be adapted. The same is, I want to, starting next year, to lower the property tax on office buildings that have within their premises kindergarten and daycare. Even private, because that is the solution to reduce traffic very fast without huge investment in infrastructure, and that will work. And that is how you transform, because we're not going to start building schools and kindergartens out of the blue, state-owned, because it's very, very complicated. It genuinely is. So I would ask the private sector that adapts so easily, that once they see a profit opportunity, they take it. And I would ask them to get involved in building this, in transforming certain neighborhoods in such way. And I do believe, and especially now that the hybrid working is so popular, a lot of office buildings have a lot of free space, sorry, because companies have reduced the number of people at the office. So it is possible to have this partnership. Another partnership that is very important, and in the past, large developers have not been open to it, and maybe the collaboration itself wasn't clear. I want to collaborate with private developers, especially malls, to have their parking open between the hour after they close until they open, for locals to park their car or overnight.
Very interesting approach, yeah.
Because listen, this is a city where we cannot afford to leave anything unused. We need to think of a way to use every space we have. We cannot afford, and I know this trend of building parks everywhere, and I appreciate that, but that's not realistic. The community cost of building only a park is huge. So we need, when we build, we need to think multifunctional. We need to think 21st century. So we're not putting trees everywhere, because it's not going to solve all the problems. We need to think of underground parking, a school, a space for even businesses on the top, and trees. Sure, trees on top, I have no problem with, but it cannot be park only, because it's not efficient. So that's my... Sorry for that very passionate speech.
Yeah, but can you enforce the developers to build these I know that, for example, I know examples where here they said, okay, you can build that, but at the same time you have to give back to the community.
And that is something we're doing in the new general urban plan. So in the new PUG that we're, and that is one thing that has not been done properly in the past. I'm not going to go into the reasons. I think all of you here understand why that has happened poorly in the past. And you have these neighborhoods such as Greenfield that are not really connected. They sold their apartments cheaply. They promised something that they couldn't deliver. And that is the fault of the developer. And you have the same thing happening in Ghencea, which is horrible traffic-wise. So the regulations should be very clear of you first build the infrastructure and then you can build your apartments. It's not the other way around because developers take advantage of it. And then the city has to pay for infrastructure for 2,000 people that chose to live outside the city without infrastructure, which is not fair, in my opinion.
That's a very nice approach, but I'm wondering what we will do with those which has already been built. We cannot.
I agree with you. So that is, we have to build their infrastructure. It's that we don't have a choice. The cost is huge though, because you and I are paying for people who chose to go there, right? So they take no responsibility for their bad decision making. And they keep saying that the developer lied to me. Well, what can I say? Was there a road here when you moved? No. So did you go to the city hall to ask if we're going to build one? No, but I trusted the developer. Well, so we have no choice. We have to transform. We have to connect them. But we do have a choice for the future. And I think one of the most important things is holding developers accountable and really holding them accountable. This is not like, it's insane that the type of buildings and neighborhoods they build, the density that is enormous, and the pressure they create on the city infrastructure is just not okay on any level. Now we'll have to spend that money for those people. I mean, it's at the end of the day, they're there. That is the reality. We cannot change, even if it was a bad decision. They're on their side, and trust me, I do believe in individual responsibility. So, but we do have to educate people as well when they buy houses to ask the right questions. So, because you can't police a whole city all the time. That's impossible on building wise.
That could be also a good program for yourself, for the authority, maybe in the future, to have such educational program for the people. Just what are the right questions to ask when you need to buy a house, and make it as public as possible, because this is a trend now, and it's normal to be like this. People are buying new houses and they don't know how to do it. I didn't know in the past, and I was burned, I would say. So.
And they don't know how to tell from a good development, what a good development is, what a bad development is. They don't know what the right pricing is. So I think it would do a huge community service to have kind of
and yourself as well. It will help yourself as well as the authority, and it will be good. And
the other thing is they on the plan they promise to build enough parking spaces, and they don't. And
oh my God,
what do you do?
It's perfectly as if I was seeing Warsaw. Really, I'm seeing pieces like Odolany in my district, like Gurchevska Street. I can really, you're talking about Bucharest, but I'm seeing exactly the same thing.
It's not. These are not unique challenges.
Yes,
that's for sure. And this is why I believe
receive the final authorization, because somebody goes and checks them when there is the final.
We go into the next discussion, and that is corruption. And let me tell you, you have seen the things that are happening even in Bucharest city halls. People have been already arrested, will be arrested in the future. And I have zero tolerance for those kinds of people. I have zero empathy to them. If they have done something illegal, such as, because they have been caught with doing, illegal documents. So basically on the track to being voted in city council, they have falsified documents. So, city council has voted on false documentation. So those people that do that, because as a city councilwoman, I cannot check. So I received this urban papers. I'm not a specialist, I'm an economist, right? I do not know how to tell. I genuinely do not know. So I base my decision on the approval of the city architect, the urban department. As according to law, what I can vote on is opportunity, not legality and not technicality, because I'm not an expert. So if I don't know that the documents submitted are not accurate and I cannot trust them, we are in a very difficult position. And that's why I feel strongly that until we do reorganize City Hall, we will not be able to move forward. I think 30% of the people need to be let go immediately.
And that applies for tender requirements as well, like specialists. We need to have serious.
We've been more careful with that, and we have had. But what I'm saying is, what I was mentioning is that the legal, the law side is not wrong. The way it's implemented might be on a case by case, but that you cannot avoid, because when you make law, you cannot think of all the crazy scenarios. There are people that will abuse the legal system. They are built this way, they won't stop for some reasons. You cannot fight this unless you do what I dream of having in Bucharest, and that is City Hall that does not depend on individuals, but has systems and processes, and individuals don't matter. I want to get to the day where I don't have to intervene in any process to make sure that everything goes according to plan. So I don't want to receive those calls of City Hall hasn't answered me, it has been 30 days already. And the 30 days is the legal term, right? I don't want to receive hundreds of emails like I receive every day about they not receiving authorizations, not have, I don't want to police employees. It shouldn't be that way. I should be irrelevant. I should be only voting on opportunity. I should not have the power to move a process along. And because that's a huge door open to corruption. One thing you have to keep in mind, think about it, 55 people that receive 1,200 lei a day, a month. So we are being remunerated with less than 300 euros per month, are managing a budget that is 1.5 billion euros. So I'm telling you one thing, that is a huge issue and a huge vulnerability for all city councillors. And whoever thought of this, actually I know who thought of this, in my opinion, wanted to make city councillors vulnerable. And that is something we should address fast, because I'll tell you the truth. To be informed, to do my job right, it takes me at least 10 days per month, 8-hour days. And if I rely on the 300 euros that I receive, I still have a family to feed. This is not a job, right? I still have a business to run. It's impossible. And then once you become vulnerable, you understand what can happen. Not my case, but there are two scenarios. One, they will become corrupt. Two, they will lose interest and just vote whatever, right? And both are huge issues.
Thank you.
I think that actually we could continue this discussion, because I feel that I'm having so many comments on that. But so I'm really hoping that we can think about next meeting of this or many different kind, because I can feel that really, like, for example, as I was saying, we could separately discuss local zoning plans and more perspective of participation, more perspective of IT and how data science can be helpful. We can talk about mobility. We can talk about also the corruption issue and how to actually make the municipality working better. How to start approaching that. But I think this is really great that you're having this strength in you, that you are seeing that the change is needed. That this is like the first step, and that you're really strong about was your conviction. So I hope you will stay strong with this conviction, and just don't hesitate to use experts who are wishing well to Bucharest.
I see I have a question. Can I answer the question from Facebook?
And
Is that okay?
on Q&A, if please answer all these questions. All those
Okay. How prepared is the public administration for the smart city transition? Completely unprepared. So just so you understand, there is no cloud storage right now for the city of Bucharest. They use Microsoft Outlook 2008. My computer, when I access my City Hall email, my computer goes on high alert telling me this is crazy, it's from the last century. So people, the public servants that work, some of them are very well-intentioned. So I don't want you to understand that this is referring to all of them. Some of them are huge experts, great people. But all are used to working pen, paper, and the little folder. And there's an enormous amount. So right now, you have to understand, I have been misinformed by city employees, because I don't want to say lie to, but misinformed. They do not know within the same city what the other department is doing. They have no idea of all the papers that they have. There is no file management system. Although they have acquired in the past the contract, we don't know what happened to it. And they all feel this weird guilt where they all need to report success. So there is, in a way, to say that a program failed, and it's okay. Public administration can fail. They can try and fail and learn from their mistakes. There's no such thing. So in my opinion, they're hugely unprepared for change. And when we do make changes, there will be necessary to have experts in change management, because they are used to old school. They know old school. New school is completely foreign. They're afraid of technology. Of course, I'm not going to hide it from you. I would love to work with automations, because most of the processes can be automated. We have UiPath in Bucharest. Why wouldn't we work with them? Because that blows my mind. And of course, they know that due to this, some of them might lose their jobs. But I have repeated this to them because I'm not very popular with all employees. I have a duty to the citizens of Bucharest. My duty is to them, not to the employees of City Hall. So although it breaks my heart, and we should offer solutions for them to adapt, if they cannot adapt, they have to go. There is no other way where you can make this efficient, because you cannot, there's no win-win-win-win-win situation. I'm sorry, there is not. And maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe I don't know of such a situation.
We feel you very much.
Any other questions that I'm missing?
I have a question also for you, and it's based on your recent answer. You said that, okay, we don't have in place a lot of things. I'm just curious, how are you coping with this lack of things happening? Probably you have some nice approaches, I think you have. How can you make it work in reality?
Well,
and what's your plan of that?
I think there are the 5 stages of grief that you go through once you are elected.
I can confirm.
At one point you despair and you think that in 4 years you're not going to be able to achieve anything. But then you just, what I have done is just focus on a small thing that I can change, and have one thing that I want to achieve by 2024, and that's a department for innovation in public administration within the city of Bucharest. Because I have researched this, and this is also the subject of my PhD thesis. There is a correlation between smart cities and entrepreneurship and creative entrepreneurship, and the city having an innovation lab where academics, together with the private sector and citizens, work together to find solutions. So that is the thing that I focus on. And I basically take it one day at a time. I have also talked to the city of Vienna that does have such a department. And they explained to me that they started 15 years ago, one day at a time. Miracles don't happen overnight. So basically I understood that I have to lower my expectations of how fast things will happen, realize that public service is something that you engage in for decades, not for 1 year. And sometimes it takes that long, but you have to be realistic, because otherwise you get frustrated and you leave. And once all the people that are innovators leave public service, innovation won't happen.
And Diana, one more thing from my side, just to stay clear. You said that trees are not important. I hope that you are referring in the sense of parkings, not generally.
Oh, trees, sorry?
Are not important. A tree doesn't solve a problem. You mentioned this.
A tree does not solve a problem. What solves a problem is having a solution that includes a tree. But putting one tree will not solve the problem of Bucharest. It will not, because the problems are multiple. What you have to think is, how do you plant a tree, build a underground parking, and some kind of facility for the people in the neighborhood? If you only use 1 square meter of Bucharest, and I'm not referring to monetary value, community value is huge. So using it for the tree alone is wasteful. And I stand by that opinion, and I have no problem discussing it with environmentalists. It is wasteful.
Okay, so if you don't have any other questions, ladies, gentlemen, then let me thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to our amazing speakers, and I hope we all learn more about what it takes to develop and live in a smart city, and how data and science can pave the way to a brighter and smarter tomorrow. Please enjoy your weekend and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good afternoon. Bye.